when I watched this fight, I'm looking, okay, Dan Hooker, big, strong. Okay, he's walking him down. Yeah, I knew speed would be a problem. Arnold Allen is incredibly fast in his own right, but just moving down a weight class, you're going to have to deal with the speed issues. But when you walk him down, when you got those long limbs pushed up in their face the whole time, you shouldn't have that problem. Dan Hooker seemed like he just couldn't connect, brother. I don't know what was happening. Like he was there, he was in front of him, he was leading the dance, but he couldn't get quite on the money with his shots right there. And Arnold Allen is probably the most aggressive version of Almighty Allen that we have seen in his career thus far. He picks up not only his ninth UFC win in a row, 11th total win in a row, but he also picks up his first TKO finish in the UFC, brother. How impressive is this? This is rare company right here. Nobody does this to Dan Hooker. You don't just finish Dan Hooker and call it a day. So, two-part question. Was this the best version of Arnold Allen? Was this the man who says, I'm here to really make a statement. I'm ready to fight for a title in the featherweight division. Give me top 5 opponents. Or, AJ, do you not go down a weight class? Do you say, let's not kill ourselves, let's not kill the little bit of water that we have left, you know what I mean, in our brain? Because when we get hit, even though Dan Hooker took a bunch of punishment, he basically got standing TKO'd. When he took a bunch of punishment, it's not like he got dropped and got flatlined, but you could tell it just wasn't the Dan Hooker that we know and love, the man, the hangman who comes out and smashes, who was a 5-round killer. Give me your assessment, because I honestly don't know which one. I want to lean towards Allen, but you have to take the Hooker situation into consideration. So what do you think?
Unfortunately, I think it's yes for both, man. I think that was the prime Arnold Allen right there, showing up, not just aggressive, but smart aggressive, very tactile, man. Huge fight IQ. Obviously, the training camp was getting it done, man. He was looking in there. He looked like a prime young GSP to me, man. There's a lot of similarities in there, and obviously because they train together, there's GSP shedding off his knowledge to Arnold Allen. So there's a lot in there to go that. But at the same point, I mean, Dan Hooker, to me, I was expecting a bigger, swoller, coming back, a little bit more hydrated Dan Hooker, but he looked really skinny, man. He looked smaller than I was expecting, at least. I was expecting this dude to come in from the bigger weight class, really be the bigger guy, kind of put his power out there, stand on that front foot, be the bigger guy in the cage. And this just wasn't what we saw, man. Arnold Allen, he was smart about it. Sure, Hooker was walking him down coming in, but Allen was just using that against Hooker and piecing him up, man. It was crazy because, yes, did Dan Hooker get a TKO loss? Yeah, but he didn't go to sleep. But homeboy took a lot of damage, and with each punch that would come, he became more crippled. He had that crippling effect. Every shot that lands, you see Dan Hooker kind of wince a little bit, take a little bit more pain, drop a little bit lower in that stance, kind of realize that he needs to cover up more instead of just walking in. So I think this one's a little bit both. To answer your question, Derek, I think it's a little bit of both of those. More so that Allen was just on that night, and Dan Hooker's first time at 145 was just a little too dehydrated. I personally don't think it's a good call to be dropping. I'm sure if Dan Hooker's walking around happy, he's walking around 180, 185-ish. Dude's like 6 foot. It's hard to drop down another 40 pounds right there. Expect to be the big guy. You walk in, homeboy's the same size as you, and you're like, oh shit, like, all right, word. Like, this is going to be a fun one. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Arnold Allen, though, because I think he was just absolutely on. No credit, no taking away from what Arnold Allen did, but there still is that aspect of that weight cut.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I do think Arnold Allen was on point. He really came to show out, man. He was in London. This is UFC London. You're a local dude. Let's give it everything we got. The atmosphere was already crazy. He just added to the intensity. And, the unfortunate part about this whole entire debacle is that Dan Hooker, this is a dude who has fought Jason Knight, Yair Rodriguez, Dustin Poirier, and gone to decisions, gone to third-round TKO losses, like late losses and stuff like that, out of the few losses that he did have. And next thing you know, you lose 4 of your last 5, and 3 of those 4 losses, you've been finished in the first round. So things take quick turns here in the UFC, here in MMA just in general. This is a brutal sport. Combat sports is brutal in its nature right there. And you could be the man that's on top of the world. Dan Hooker was the man just a couple years ago, and next thing you know, drop down to featherweight trying to find the mojo. You're not quite there. Are they going to cut him? No, they're not going to cut him, but we need a turnaround. Something needs to happen. Maybe, AJ, this is the time that Uncle Dana throws him a bone and gives him a gimme fight, right? Because if you look at The only gimme fight wasn't even a gimme fight, and it was Nasrat Haqparast. I mean, that's a tough dude right there. But look at who he's fought. Arnold Allen, Islam Makhachev, Nasrat Haqparast, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Paul Felder, Al Iaquinta, James Vick, Edson Barbosa, Gilbert Burns, Jim Miller, Mark Jacasey, Ross Pearson, brother, Jason Knight. Like, I literally just went down killer. There was no break in there. So you do have to commend Dan Hooker for the strength of schedule that he's had, brother, because to even have the amount of wins he does, I mean, listen, like I said, I'd had Gilbert Burns, Jim Miller, Paul Felder. I mean, you got wins against all these dudes. You're a savage. It's taken a turn as of late, but listen, instead of talking about Dan Hooker, let's just praise Arnold Allen. He's ready for the top five of the featherweight division. And with that being said, let's just name those names, right? Calvin Kattar, he says, what's up? You want to fight? I'm game. Let's get it. That should be an interesting matchup. The top five currently as it stands. Number 1, Max Holloway in the featherweight division. Number 1, Max Holloway. Number 2, T-City, Brian Ortega. Number 3, Yair Rodriguez. Number 4, Korean Zombie. Number 5, Calvin Kattar. If Arnold Allen, who truly is ready for that top 5 competition, how far do you think he can get within that stack of five fighters that are just named?
Man, I think he could get real high up there. I'm looking Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar level. Like, this dude has the skills, not only on the feet, but on the ground, but also in the mental, man. That game plan that they come at TriStar, this dude can plan for a lot of people. I think we might get into some trouble on the ground against T-City just because of the pressure wrestling versus submission. Who knows? It might work out in either of those dudes' favor. But I think he's got a good chance of both against Yair Rodriguez and Calvin Kattar to get one past them. What do you think?
Listen, I think you're definitely going to run into a couple of problems. These are the most well-rounded, versatile fighters in the entire division, right? Max Holloway, I don't think we're ready for that one. Brian Ortega, though, man, listen, it could be fun on the feet and whatnot. I do agree the ground is going to get a little tricky. Yair Rodriguez, same exact situation. I mean, that's another version of T-City right there. I would be interested to see the winner or the loser, or I guess I should say this. Korean Zombie is about to fight Alexander Volkanovski for the championship, right? Let's just say, and I don't want to assume anything because anything could happen, Korean Zombie loses the fight. I would like to see a Korean Zombie versus Arnold Allen fight. I think that would be a fun fight right there. But if we get Calvin Kattar first, let's see what happens, man. What happens last time people doubted Calvin Kattar? He puts on a clinic, right? So you don't want to doubt these dudes. But big win by Arnold Almighty Allen, and welcome to the top 5 of the featherweight division, brother, because it's about to get real from here.